Welcome to Bloodbath and Beyond. Today we review the slasher film Old 37. Don't worry, they're paramedics.
Old 37 is about a pair of brothers who pretend to be paramedics and intercept 911 calls. The only thing is, they're not serving their patients, they're severing them.
So what do we like? I liked the overall production value of this movie. It was shot really well. They'd had a lot of cool like slow-mo shots. Just all the cinematography was really solid. I thought the editing was pretty decent and just like the locations and stuff. They had a whole junkyard, like a whole scrapyard that looked awesome. Bill Moseley and Kane's like shack looked like a crazy torture chamber. There's just like a ton of different sets that just looked cool.
I liked a lot of the camera tricks they used in this film. A lot of the times it was cool because when people are like moving through the junkyard, we're getting a lot of the shots of like Kane Hodder like sneaking behind someone, and we're seeing it in the reflection of a mirror. So they're using these tricks to build suspense, which was a really nice touch. I really enjoyed Bill Moseley and Kane Hodder. Their acting in this was exactly what I was expecting from both of them. Kane Hodder just being a beast and roughing people up, and Bill Moseley getting angry and fucking people up.
Yeah, and you got the classic Bill Moseley touch, and it was great. You couldn't ask for more from those two. Aside from Bill and Kane, I thought that the rest of the cast did a solid job. The acting in general was pretty good. We also had an appearance by Brandi Cyrus, Miley's older sister, and our main lead, Amy, played by Caitlin Harris, did a fantastic job. Considering she hasn't been in too much, she actually surprised me.
She had many different dimensions to her character, and I felt she added a lot to this film by playing each dimension really well.
Oh, and I liked Robert Bogue, who played Detective Higgins in this movie. We've also seen him play like a weird guy in Bleeding Hearts. This guy's just hilarious. Just the way that he delivers his lines just has like some natural comedy to it, and anything that he said was actually hilarious, even if he was trying to be serious, which might be a downfall of his acting, but I think he's great.
It was really nice to see some good practical effects and some gore in this film. We had a lot of blood, which was a nice touch, especially like we're seeing a buildup of these like kills and like the torture scenes.
And there were definitely a couple cringe-worthy moments that are just like, oh, Jesus. Now let's move on to our dislikes.
This film had great potential with its story, but they fell really short with the execution. It was all over the place with the flashbacks. Great 10 minutes in, then 30 minutes of boredom. Like it felt like I was in a Dawson's Creek episode.
After we get through the backstories of the killers, it just plays out like a teen movie.
We had that typical girl goes to party, slow motion, everyone's looking, alternative rock is playing. Like it's straight out of like Can't Hardly Wait, She's All That, Gilmore, you name it. Any type of like 90s like sitcom or movie that was based on teens, that first 15 minutes just it copied it.
Playing off that, I think the music in this movie was really weird. It was almost all alternative music, and it seemed like a giant music video. Not only the music, but the editing, and the lens flares, and the slow-mo shots. It just, as a whole, this movie seemed like it could just be cut up into a music video. But they just kind of inserted some character development and created a feature-length film. There's a lot of slow-mo shots. You know, name it and slow it down, and that's what the movie is.
The best slow-mo shot, though, was the cardio kickboxing, and then it cuts right to them, like, at regular speed, and we're like, oh, this looks way better slow motion than it does regular speed.
It just seemed like there was a bunch of useless stuff in this movie that didn't need to be there. And in doing so, we didn't get all of the great Bill Moseley and Kane Hodder stuff that we wanted to see, especially based on seeing the trailer and having them be the two stars that you're like, oh yeah, we're gonna see them just kill a bunch of people the whole time. You know, that's not really the case.
I was going in expecting them to be intercepting lots of 911 calls and torturing all these victims in the back of an ambulance.
It only happened twice.
Barely twice.
Yeah, barely twice. They fought somebody in the back of an ambulance and killed one guy in the back of an ambulance. So there's not a lot going on in an ambulance, nor do they even use the ambulance that often. In general, I feel like they had a really good idea going in, and like it just kind of collapsed. And I don't know what it was, but it seemed like it was an unfinished movie that just had a lot of filler.
This film did have a lot of writers on hand, so a lot of the times it could have just been like one writer had like this really good idea and then they split it up in different arcs.
Now it's time for our final thoughts and ratings. Old 37 had a good concept, but I don't think it delivered what it should have. We did have great performances from all of the actors involved, including fan favorites Bill Moseley and Kane Hodder. Unfortunately, we didn't see them quite as much as we expected. They did go around killing people and we did get some cool practical effects, but for most of the movie, it seems like it was a music video with a lot of useless scenes and just too much character development with the main lead. It just kind of sits right in the middle for me. I didn't really feel anything when anybody died, but it's also not a bad movie. I don't know where to place this, so I'm going right up the middle, giving this 2.5, riding the gap out of 5.
Old 37 really wasn't what I thought it was going to be, and I was kind of disappointed after watching it because I thought we were going to get a really interesting concept of two killers intercepting calls from 911 and torturing people in the back of an ambulance. But it didn't happen. Bill Moseley and Kane Hodder were great in this film, but without them being in it throughout the entire film, it's also a letdown because that's what the audience wants to see. But it was still a good concept. It was just poorly executed. So that being said, I'm going to give this 2.5 Kane Hodders doing the chicken dance out of 5.
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and let us know your favorite Bill Moseley movie in the comments below. Or maybe even go further and say the best Bill Moseley character.
Ooh.
Let us know in the comments. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, stay updated with our reactions, reviews, and games of What Would You Do.